Diddy really screwed up, and I'm not referring to his criminal trial, which has him sitting in prison right now, but it has to do with something that happened right before he got arrested. If you've seen the Netflix documentary about Diddy, Diddy The Reckoning, which 50 Cent produced, there's some footage there that had never been seen before. This is a photographer that Diddy hired to follow him around and document his life. That footage ended up going to 50 Cent.
And maybe that's what Snoop went through. I don't know. But let the people know, because it was too early back then. You know, Pac just had died.
So this one night, 50 called me up and, you know, they got him on the phone, man. He was just talking. We was talking about old time shit, you know, sit down with Black Hands, sit down with, you know, with Puff Kids, the whole Puff situation, and this documentary that he's going to be.
When 50 Cent dropped his Netflix documentary Shawn Combs, The Reckoning, many expected the spotlight to land squarely on Diddy, his rise, his empire, and the cracks in his legacy. But the narrative quickly twisted. Social media erupted, redirecting attention to Snoop Dogg, with viral clips and commentaries claiming he was retreating, under pressure, or even shielded over unseen footage. Some voices went further, suggesting hints from Gene Deal, and others painted Snoop in a shadow darker than Diddy's. The frenzy spread fast, stitched together from old interviews, blurred clips, phone calls, and rampant speculation, each piece amplified by the echo chamber of online platforms. Fans questioned why Snoop stayed silent, whether 50 Cent held back, and if the industry was poised to expose yet another icon. But step back, separate fact from rumor, and a different story emerges, one shaped less by truth and more by exaggeration, recycled claims, and the peril of treating conjecture as certainty. In this video, we'll dissect where these allegations began, what Gone Deal actually said, what 50 Cent's film revealed, and what it deliberately left out, while clarifying Snoop Dogg's real responses, exposing what's confirmed, denied, and still completely unproven as Diddy's fallout continues to ripple through the culture.
It's from his podcast with Dave Mays, and he's speaking on, you know, Tupac and Snoop being cool, and how, you know, after Tupac got killed, Snoop started hanging out with Diddy. And, you know, he also speaks on how, you know, Snoop, he did the Steve Harvey show with Diddy after Tupac got killed. Check this out.
Okay. Let's download right now.
Then you look at the scenario how everybody used Pac to make their stuff famous or make their project better. You got people who use their songs for Pac and tell them how much they love Pac, but they do songs for Puffy. You got Steve Harvey old bit that, you know, this motherfucker telling, well, Pac, according to everybody else, he brings Snoop and Puffy on there and say, these are dudes who's running this in the East Coast, West Coast.
What's up, Snoop?
Huh? Hey, whoa. Wait a minute, fellas here. Hold on. You know, I know all about this East Coast, West Coast rivalry thing here, but we in Chicago now. This rivalry stuff, we gotta stop it, man. We stop that, we stop a lot of this violence.
Yo, Steve, check this, man. All that East Coast, West Coast stuff is a bunch of media hype. It's been my dog from day one, you know what I'm saying? It's all good between me and him. That's my people.
Real, that's what we came in for. We came in and light it up and ride it up. We never used your hand.
Now, Pac, if you love Pac so much, how you with the motherfucker that everybody say got something to do with the first get down that happened to Pac in New York, then the second one.
What you think about Suge Knight? And I never asked you this before, but did you have an issue with Snoop hanging out with Diddy after Tupac got killed?
I always felt that was wrong. I'm gonna just keep it real. I'm talking about from that, like now, okay, you know what I mean? I'm 46, Snoop probably early 50s. If he figured out now, he might go by the opinion like, okay, Puffy had nothing to do with Pac. You know, we grown now. If he want to be his friend, no problem. But back then, that was just awkward. You know what I mean? And the reason why it was awkward to me that I never even like it because you knew how Pac felt about this individual. You know what I mean? Even if you don't agree with him, you probably could have said, you know what, I probably ain't gonna come out, you know, publicly with this because until things clear up. So I really know I could be certain that, you know, they didn't have nothing to do with Pac. But it's like, it was no, you know, okay, it is what it is. So that I never really respected that back then.
So you had an issue with it. You didn't like it.
Never really liked it. It just was a strange look because you was Pac boy. You know what I mean? Puffy, you know, it's clear they had some issues with Pac. And Pac died, and all of a sudden you chilling with Puffy. Back then it just, okay, now you can say what you want. You all grandfathers, I guess. You know what I mean? That's different now. But back then I think it was weird, it was tasteless. You know what I mean? It didn't seem like you really had that much love for Pac. You could have just, you know what I mean? Unless he pressured them or like questioned Puffy, like, yo, what's up with this? What's up with that? Then you could say.
Online, Snoop Dogg's name began trending amid some of the harshest accusations, not because of hard evidence, but because of his proximity to history. Decades in the music industry put him shoulder to shoulder with Diddy, Suge Knight, and nearly every major player from hip-hop's most turbulent era. After the documentary dropped, Gene Deal, a former bodyguard close to Diddy, suggested in interviews that certain things were left out of the film, one vague remark that sent rumor mills into overdrive. Suddenly, speculation claimed 50 Cent had held back footage and names to protect the industry, and Snoop, highly visible and globally known, became the natural lightning rod. Old interviews resurfaced, prison calls circulated, and unverified claims tied to alleged documents were repeated as if confirmed. Online, silence was twisted into guilt, visibility into complicity, and a dangerous narrative solidified. But examined carefully, none of these fragments prove any wrongdoing by Snoop. They only confirm that he existed, worked, and navigated the same high-stakes world as everyone else.
I believe somebody mentioned that they seen a video with me and the dude Prodigy or one of the dudes from our Deep, as if I was with. They don't know the backdrop of that. I went to his hotel room ready to fight. Like, bro, I'll fight everybody in that room one-on-one. Even if I lose, it doesn't matter. The Outlaws was with me. My homie Tiny, the Mexican homie, was with me. I didn't go there and say, let me get in a video with these guys. I went there knocking on their door, doom, doom, doom. Tell them dudes to come out. What's up with y'all? What's up with you and Pac? You got a problem with Pac? Because we could just fight like man to man, face to face, and then shake hands. That was my approach with them. But when they told me they didn't have no problem, I don't mind being with you. You know what I mean? I don't mind shaking your hand because they told me they had love for Pac. So that's different. You know what I mean? If he come out and say, well, I questioned Puffy about it. I believe that he didn't, he loved Pac. That's my opinion. I can move the way I want to move. So when people try to, I noticed somebody, I think on your page do that, where Napoleon was in the video with Mobb Deep. They don't know how I got in that video with Mobb Deep. You know what I mean? I pulled up on him but I'm the type of person, I never been a bully type of person. You know what I mean? If I talk to a person like a man and they tell me face to face, look, I got love for Pac, I'm comfortable to know if I can look in their eyes, if I believe what they said, I have the right to say, okay, no problem, I believe you. You know what I mean? And maybe that's what Snoop went through. I don't know. But let the people know, because it was too early back then. Pac just had died. You know what I mean? Like, he had the right to say, the reason why I'm rolling with Puffy, I questioned him about my homie. He gave me this answer. So then he did what he had to do. But it just, you know what I mean? I never really agree with that, to be honest. The same way I couldn't be on the stage with him. When they wanted to do that tribute, I just couldn't do it. Like, I really felt in my heart, like, man.
This is where the real danger takes hold. When proximity replaces evidence, narratives shift from truth to suspicion, and the loudest voices are rarely the most accurate. Shawn Combs, The Reckoning was never pitched as an industry-wide expose. Its lens was on Diddy, tracing his rise through Bad Boy Records, his influence, and the system that shielded him for years. It highlighted victim testimonies, mapped patterns of control, and stayed anchored in the legal reality that led to his conviction and 50-month prison sentence. What the documentary did not do matters just as much. It never accused random figures without proof, never implicated Snoop Dogg in any crime, and never presented footage suggesting his involvement. Claims that 50 Cent protected Snoop are pure speculation. Curtis Jackson has repeatedly clarified that he exposed only what could be verified, vetted by legal counsel, and nothing more.
Was doing a documentary thinking he was going to come out triumphant.
Yeah, I didn't know that's how this started, is he started filming himself and getting this footage because he thought he was going to beat everything. Okay,
Diddy
that makes sense. Okay.
Has a relationship
with Netflix. I knew that.
With
Ted Sarandis. I saw that. Yes. Okay.
And he's filming it there, but of course, when you get obviously it wasn't a clean sweep on the prosecutor's side, but you're still going to prison.
Yeah.
He basically kind of scraps it. It's not also Netflix is saying, because they commissioned it, right? Netflix is saying, all right, cool, just turn over what you got. And what we'll do, we'll make it what it is because we're just following reality. Diddy's like, well, hold on now. If I lost the case, I'm down to still do it with you, but I got to be able to control it. Now, Diddy was probably going to kind of shape this doc to make it look like, hey, this was malicious prosecution. They kind of went really hard at me. Mm-hmm. I'm not a perfect guy, but I am a good guy.
Yeah.
And Diddy was like, I need to be able to craft it. And Netflix was like, no, you're not. And he's like,
well, my question is, did he sign the footage over to Netflix so they own it? Mm-mm. Like, how were they able to do this without his?
No, but he didn't pay for it. So essentially, they're calling it a payment error. Oh. So essentially, the deal falls apart, or he's like, yeah, we're not going to do this.
So awkward.
And the people who did the work that have all this footage, they're like, so wait, you told us to film because this is going to be on Netflix. Now you're saying Netflix doesn't exist and we're not getting paid because Diddy was going to pay with Netflix money. And Netflix realized this and they went to the filmers and said, hey.
If anything, the documentary demonstrated restraint in a media world addicted to outrage, naming only those whose involvement could be verified through records or credible testimony. That's why whispers of hidden footage remain just that, unproven claims. No verified clips have surfaced, no court filings mention Snoop Dogg, and no investigators have flagged him as a suspect or person of interest. Ironically, Snoop publicly expressed support for 50 Cent after the release, issuing statements that aligned with Curtis Jackson and signaling no tension between them. That very openness undercuts the notion that Snoop was fearful of exposure, because true fear rarely looks like public solidarity.
To look at this through the prism of a modern-day rhetorical genius, we're talking about the one, the great, the 50 Cent. All right. This guy's skill at rhetoric is absolutely next level. And this totally ties in with, how he famously is a big fan of Sun Tzu, The Art of War. Now, rhetoric with a capital R, I can just give you the definition of that. That's basically public speech, particularly public speech that is to persuade. Any persuasive public speech is rhetoric, right? Now, we kind of break that down into two subcategories of rhetoric with a lowercase r and dialectic. Rhetoric is essentially everything else. And really, what moves the needle with like 97% of people and 100% of groups, okay, is, in fact, rhetoric with the lowercase r. So again, stuff like this, 50 Cent is an absolute master of. Basically, he dropped this doc, this Shawn Puffy Combs doc, and it's just kind of set the internet on fire. It's beating out Stranger Things. Like, it's a wild ride to watch, right? And one of the things that he does is he breaks down Diddy's character on Diddy's own terms.
One of the most recycled talking points traces back to claims from Courtney Burgess, who alleged possession of flash drives tied to Kim Porter and described them as containing sensitive material involving well-known figures. Online commentators rushed to connect dots that were never drawn, attaching names like Snoop Dogg without substantiation. What's routinely ignored is the context that dismantles the claim. Kim Porter's children have publicly rejected the legitimacy of any materials attributed to her. Federal authorities have never verified the contents of these alleged drives, and in any legal framework, individuals depicted in such material are considered potential victims, not automatic wrongdoers. No authenticated documents reference Snoop Dogg. No confirmed footage has surfaced. Speculation simply converted implication into assumption, and assumption into belief. This is the anatomy of misinformation, where a suggestion becomes a rumor becomes a headline, and a headline hardens into truth. Possession of unverified material is not proof of criminal conduct. Courts demand corroboration, credibility, and context, while online commentary demands none. That imbalance is where reputations suffer without due process. So when narratives claim Snoop Dogg is panicking over flash drives, they bypass every fact that matters. There is no evidence he has been questioned, no indication he is under investigation, and as of December 2025, no legal action connected to his name.
Because he wanted them to, both Suge and Pac.
In the car?
They only Pac, and they don't Suge. So allegedly, they got paid $500,000. The $500,000 was paid to the guy on the right, all the way to the right. You see the guy on the right?
Corey.
He's the one allegedly that got the $500,000. And that money never went to Keefe or anybody else. The guy on the left is the one that stole the chain, the chain, which was a Death Row Records chain. That's a way of saying I got your rapper's chain. Because if you were one of the guys, Death Row. So long story short, this whole thing is a recording that he said this. So what does Diddy do? Rob, can you pull up this song? It's a song called Black Rob, featuring Mark Curry and Mario Winans. If you can just type in lyrics, okay? So he gets $1 million. Can you go to the lyrics? And Diddy's in the lyrics when he gets started. Go a little bit lower. Can you type in the word in there, Rob? Nice guy. Type Control F, nice guy. Okay, right there. Look at it. It's 1999. No more Mr. Nice Guy. Been nice too long. I'm just going to start making y'all disappear. Man, first I'm going to take your records off the radio. Then I'm going to erase your social security number. Take your birth certificate out flies. I'm going to do your whole effing family. Ain't nothing but mercy. And then, by the way, in the lyrics, he says, I'll drop $1 million on your head to erase you. Okay. Can you type in, I'll drop $1 million? Just put Control F. Just go to Google and type this out. I'll drop $1 million on your head. I'll drop $1 million on your head and just put Diddy next to it. Right there. See, it says Black Rob. What song came up?
Phrase.
I'll drop $1 million on your head. Erase you and your whole family, biatch.
Wow.
He's saying it in the song on what he did to get rid of Tupac.
What an idiot.
Suge Knight has repeatedly leveled accusations at Snoop Dogg over the years, ranging from betrayal to responsibility for darker chapters tied to Tupac Shakur's death. But these claims resurface more as spectacle than substance whenever the industry enters a moment of reckoning. They are not new, and they have never been proven. Made largely from prison during interviews designed to provoke attention, Knight's statements thrive on controversy rather than corroboration. Snoop Dogg has consistently and firmly denied the allegations, characterizing them as baseless narratives fueled by decades-old rivalry and personal resentment. Most critically, despite extensive investigations into Tupac Shakur's death, law enforcement has never charged, named, or implicated Snoop Dogg in any criminal wrongdoing.
For being out there and allowing Misa to come out there to make money, however she was doing it, to feed her family. He vowed down that it's like, yo, I ain't never f***ing with her again, and I ain't never f***ing with him again. Puff and Suge had a conversation behind the House of Blues about was we all right, and Tupac was alive. Tupac wasn't dead. So if it was a war, Suge ain't having no conversation with Puff about we good. I know he could be doing the Hoboken hustle, trying to fool a brother. But had he killed my man or something like that, I wouldn't have no conversation with Puff. I'd been like, yo, you know what y'all niggas done? You know what happened? And it wasn't no conversation like that, brother. It wasn't no conversation whereas that, Suge made Puff feel like I'm gonna get you a payback for what happened to Jake. This was more so that Puff, for whatever reason, Suge, for whatever reason, he was mad at Puff. And Puff, for whatever reason he was mad at Suge, it was between them two. It wasn't no whole East Coast wanted the West Coast dead, and the West Coast wanted East Coast to dead, because they still was going out, still chilling, still at places with each other. It was Bad Boy, and it was Death Row. It was no East Coast and no West Coast. West Coast dudes were still coming out on the East Coast getting love. East Coast niggas was still going out on the West Coast getting love. It was Bad Boy versus Death Row. And that's what it was, bro. And it was because of the two CEOs. But Suge tried to straighten it out. I got to get at the Suge. The Death Row East Coast, the Death Row East was going to bring in Eric B. It was going to bring in Big D. And those brothers was from the East Coast. So now, they was looking for a representative to come to the meeting from Bad Boy so they could straighten out the between Pac and Big and Death Row and Bad Boy. And Puff is the one who refused. Puff is the one to refuse to send a representative or either come himself. And got mad at Zip and them because they were in the Mirage on 57th Street partying with Suge Knight. Got mad at them. And Zip hung up the phone on behind that.
So what you mean by more?
So I don't know where you get all the extras from when they had a conversation at the hospital and all that. That's absolutely not true. Say less, if you know what I mean. But instead of just saying less, since I've been in here, Snoop and other people been having people trying to bail the guy out, Keefy D, because he talking too much. Raging them trying to do stuff for Puffy because they say he talking too much. They even had somebody talk to me and say, hey, you can help him get free. I said, look, I don't have nothing to do with none of that, and I'm not leaving prison to go to Nobody County Jail. To the point they were saying, well, you can't leave and sacrifice a little bit in the county jail to stop that black man from getting life. Hell no. I ain't wishing bad on him at all, because I don't want to see nobody go to prison. And like I told you last time, as I find out more details about certain things, I probably would go to the Vegas County Jail if me and Keefy D with Sellies. We have a good conversation after I give him, 6 upside his head, another 6 in his body, and another 2. But yeah, that's definitely didn't happen with Snoop didn't go to the hospital.
One of the most repeated narratives claimed Snoop Dogg suddenly went quiet after the documentary's release. But even minimal fact-checking collapses that idea. He continued posting publicly, weighing in on music and business, and even showing visible support for 50 Cent. The illusion of disappearance was created by selective attention. When people want a story to hold, they ignore anything that contradicts it. Snoop didn't issue panic-driven statements, didn't erase his social media presence, and didn't retreat from public life. He stayed active, focused on his work and his ventures, including Death Row Records. Silence can sometimes be intentional, but in this case, there wasn't silence at all, just a clear refusal to give energy to rumors that didn't merit a response.
Just got out the gym, doing my workout box. Suge, you right. History would repeat itself. Cause nigga, you wasn't the only nigga in the room, nigga. You wasn't by yourself. It was other people in the room too. I'm not gonna say no names because, like you said, we don't talk. So why you on here talking? Let that go, man. And as far as Snoop and Corrupt writing my album, you ask them niggas that. Them niggas ain't wrote my album. Corrupt helped me with Do You See? Snoop helped me with This DJ. Other than that, everything else I wrote. So that's where you wrong at again. And as far as the tough guy, do you recall when we was at the World Club and then said Death Row and NWA? Who fired on that? Me. When you was at the Comedy Store, fighting that little buff ass at the Comedy Store, who saved your motherfucking ass? Me and C-Style. So what have I done to you? For you to launch out at me? Look, don't get mad at me, man. I ain't never done nothing to you. I wasn't signed to you. So
the real difference between Snoop Dogg and Diddy right now isn't fame or influence. It's evidence. Diddy's conviction came after years of investigations, sworn testimony, and documented legal findings, while Snoop Dogg's situation rests entirely on association and speculation. As of December 2025, there are no charges, no indictments, and no active cases involving Snoop Dogg, a distinction that matters. In a time when powerful figures are being held accountable, silence from law enforcement doesn't signal protection, it signals a lack of proof. The industry is clearly being shaken, but not everyone caught in the fallout is guilty. When rumor is mistaken for reality, it doesn't advance the truth, it erodes it, especially at a moment when real accountability carries weight.
In a documentary, there's a couple things I'll share with you guys on what I took away from it. But Rob, maybe share the clip on how he got access to some of the footage of the documentary. Is this the one, Rob?
Yep.
Go for it.
How did you get that footage of Diddy?
I figure most journalists would not disclose their sources.
Does he know y'all have this in the doc?
I would doubt he knows.
So when this airs, that'll be the first time that his legal team, Diddy, that everybody knows that this footage is now seeing the light of day.
Perhaps. Combs' team firing back in a statement to NBC News, saying the Netflix so-called documentary is a shameful hit piece and that they relied on stolen footage that was never authorized for release. This team sending a cease and desist to Netflix.
So that doesn't mean it's not true. Of
course.
But they relied on stolen footage, okay, is what they relied on. And then they ask about the history of 50 and him, issue that they've had. What's the one you just pulled up, Rob?
This is where they talk about the feud, and then I also have 50 Cent talking about Diddy's reaction to the documentary.
Yeah, that's so funny. That is so funny. But watch this one here. Go ahead, Rob.
How do you respond to people who say that it's more about the disdain that you have for Shawn Combs than it is for giving the victims a platform?
What they consider a pre-existing beef, right? For 20 years, right? Is me being uncomfortable with him suggesting that he takes me shopping, or I looked at it like it was like a tester. Like maybe you'll come play with me type of thing, right? And it's not personal.
I think it's important to also let people know that the show is not completely the perspectives of people that did not like Shawn. We weren't trying to just get the highlights, the salacious details, that the real goal was to storytell. And not everyone needed to have an allegation to be a part of this project.
Yeah, I mean, so that's that part, right? The fact that the feud with the two of them, hey, let me take you shopping. Like you say that to a girl in 50s, like, what are you talking about? Take me shopping. How do you ever flip a mind? You want to take me shopping? And then last but not least, Rob, the other clip you have of 50 is talking about how he thinks Diddy's going to like this documentary. Go ahead, Rob.
If Shawn Combs watches this, what do you think he's going to feel?
Like, wow, this is amazing. I think he's going to say this is the best documentary I've seen in a long time.
She can't even hold it.
Because you'll see people saying that. I mean, he may feel a different way about pieces and bits of it, but he knows.
Snoop Dogg now sits at the center of one of the internet's favorite reflexes, turning uncertainty into accusation, old grudges into fresh evidence, and speculation into manufactured fear. But once the dramatic thumbnails and reaction clips are stripped away, the reality is straightforward. There is no verified footage, no charges, and no disappearance. The story isn't about Snoop Dogg panicking. It's about how quickly narratives harden when an empire collapses and anyone nearby is treated as guilty by association. As the Diddy fallout continues and more verified facts surface, the real question isn't who the internet chooses to target next. It's whether truth will be allowed to rise above rumor, or whether speculation will keep delivering verdicts before facts ever get the floor.